Hey everyone, and welcome to the Perfect Bite podcast, your fusion of food and entrepreneurship. You'll hear stories from chefs, restaurateurs, CPG brands, and more from the food and bev industry. All of them are at different points in their journeys, talking about their experiences and how they've cooked up something new. Let's dig in. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Perfect Bite podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Perkins. I'm so excited to chat with our guest today. She's a multi-hyphenate entrepreneur, from chef to restaurant owner, cookbook writer, television personality extraordinaire, mom, and so much more. Please welcome Maneet Chauhan.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
I'm so excited to talk with you. I'm always so happy to see your face.
Same here. I mean, I'm happy to see your face, not mine, but just making it clear.
I can't believe you would say that. You're so bubbly. You're so gorgeous. So thanks again for taking the time today. I know you're an incredibly busy person. Let's take it back a little bit here with your culinary journey and how you got to today. Talk to us about when you first fell in love with food.
Oh my God, 50 years in how many minutes? Well, food has always been my love language. And my parents joke that I was born with a ladle in my hand. It's been a lifelong love story. And it was really interesting because I grew up in a really small community in India. My dad, an engineer, mom, principal of a school. And there were people from all over India as our neighbors, right, in this community. And in India, each and every state has a very distinct cuisine of its own, right? So if you're from Northern India, you use more of, milk products, or Southern India, there's coconut, and even the styles of cooking are so different. So I was that kid who would finish dinner at home, go over to my neighbors' houses, tell them that my parents hadn't fed me, so can I eat with you guys? And I literally just opened this entire wonderful world for me of just amazing, flavors and techniques and, smells and sounds. But to me, I think the most amazing part was that, one of my neighbors, she didn't know Hindi or English very well. And those were the two languages that I spoke. And regardless of that, I could spend hours over there because we connected over food. And I think that's the time I realized that food is such a powerful medium to just get the world together.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, you didn't even speak the same language, and yet you loved each other, you understood each other. Were you helping her cook, or were you just there to finish a plate?
I think it eventually became helping her cook because I wanted to know what was happening. Why was the oil being heated? Why did you add the spices? When you added the spices, what the combination was. So it started off with me being curious. And then, as I started getting older and as, people would have parties in their house, they would call up my parents. They're like, yeah, you guys come at 7. But Maneet, could you send her around at 3:00 so she can help us cook? So it was fun.
What age were you when people were asking you to start cooking for them?
7th, 8th grade. Literally, yeah, I enjoyed it tremendously.
Did you have any favorite dishes from that time?
Oh, yes, so many. There was my favorite protein of all time is goat. So this auntie right next door used to make this incredible goat curry. It's South Indian style, Andhra style, spicy, but so delicious. And then we had another auntie. She was from Maharashtra, and she would, whatever food she would make, she had this special, I used to call it the magic garam masala. She would add it to that, and that would be amazing. And then there was one of our family friends. They recently got married, and she would make a lot of, as in India, we would call them continental dishes. So continental dishes meant vegetable bake, she would make this bechamel sauce, and we would be so fascinated with it. So so many things, so many dishes.
So, yeah, you kind of fell in love with everything, it sounds like, at that time. So you were essentially being a home cook. You were being a neighborhood cook. When was that aha moment for you that you said, I would like to do this as a career and learn more?
I think when my older sister went to do her undergrad, and every time I would go to meet her, I would take food. And soon I realized I was the most popular kid on campus, and I didn't even go to school there. And I'm like, do something that you love and people love you for it. So to me, and it was interesting because that was the time that the two assured careers for a decent future was either an engineer or a doctor, right? And that's what all the kids around me were studying to be. And I'm like, I want to be a chef. And I remember a lot of people were like, if you study hard enough, you can be an engineer. And I'm like, but I don't want to be an engineer. And I think my parents were very, very supportive. They're like, do whatever you want, just make sure that you're the best at it. And that's what I did. And that's the mantra I followed. So I applied to, in India, they weren't culinary schools per se at that time. They were hotel management schools. That's what I did. I applied to the 3 best hotel management schools in India. I got through all of them, went to the best one, did my undergrad over there. So I got my bachelor's, did my externships throughout the country. And then in my final year, I asked one of my chef instructors, which was the best culinary institute in the entire world to go to. And without even batting an eyelid, he said the Culinary Institute of America. So that's what I did. I applied for it. I came here and rest is history.
So what time period was that?
This was 98.
Wow. So you came to the U.S. over 25 years ago now. Talk to us more about the biggest difference that you then saw coming to the U.S. from India. What was the difference in the scene? What was the difference in the schooling?
I mean, everything was different, right? But I think you also are so young that you're so adaptable to everything. It's really funny, right? I grew up in India reading Archie comics. I had seen Coming to America. So I thought I knew everything, what America was all about, right? It's hamburgers and hot dogs. Then you come here and you realize that it's so different. I mean, there is so much of regionality over here. There is so much of, like, even when it comes to cuisine, you cannot have a term American cuisine because there's so many confluences from everywhere. To me, school life was very different because we came from what we thought was the coolest school in India. And then I'm here at the CIA and everybody was very, very kind. But there were huge cultural differences, right? Like what I thought was very cool in India, nobody had any idea what I was talking about over here. Or the fact all my classmates would constantly talk about SNL. And I'm like, I had no idea what it's all about. It was a lot of fun. It was a great growing experience. But to me, the one thing that I did was that I was that obnoxious Indian first bencher who would put my hand up for everything. So I would volunteer for everything. And that led to a lot of opportunities. I got to work with a lot of chefs. The funniest story ever, on one of the temporary job bulletin boards, I saw somebody was looking for a sushi chef. At that time in India, you did not eat sushi because it was raw. Like the concept of sushi was not there. But I'm like, sushi. Okay, sushi. I went and I was a part of an international club. I went to, this sounds so bad, but I did not realize that sushi was Japanese. It was not Korean or Chinese, right? So I went to the first, Asian guy and I'm like, hey, do you know how to make sushi? And he was this Korean kid and he's like, sure. So I called up and his English wasn't great. So I called up and I'm like, hey, we can do this. And they're like, we only need one chef. I'm like, well, we come as a team. Like, that's what it is. And this was somewhere in upstate New York. And I saw, what do they say? The 7 degrees of separation from
Kevin Bacon?
Kevin Bacon. And in this house party was Kevin Bacon walking around. And I was like, so I get back. And these were like those, dial phones, right? So I call up my sister. I'm like, do you know that guy? She's like, who are you talking about? That Footloose guy. He was there. And she's like, you had Kevin Bacon. I'm like, yeah, sure, I did. So I think just saying yes.
Yes.
So that's what it was all about. Yeah.
I mean, and that's a perfect example of, again, you had that moment where you were like, we don't really speak the same language, but do you want to team up on this? And we're both going to learn how to make sushi. How did Kevin like the food?
I'm sure he loved it. Who knows? It was so fun.
Now he's going to be telling the story.
That's how I learned how to make. That's how I learned how to make sushi.
Oh wait, now that is. I love that so much. So you're someone who definitely gets yourself out there. You said, I cannot stay at home or else I'm not going to get the chances. What
positions did you then start to get into, and the people you started to cook with after school?
So after school was a really tough time because you are young and you're full of yourself. And you're like, I went to the best institute in India, and then I went to the best culinary institute in the world. The world should be my oyster. That's what it's all about. But I had come on a student visa and I graduated on the top of my class. All the awards were mine till the time I started applying for a job, and everybody would be like, yes, we really want you to join. And then till the time I'm like, oh, great. Yeah, you'll need to sponsor my paperwork. And everybody's like, yeah, we don't do that in our industry. So that was tough. At that time, I was applying every year, everywhere, wherever. And it was really interesting because my uncle and aunt were opening a restaurant, an upscale Indian restaurant in Cherry Hill in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Now, till that moment, I was training to be a pastry chef. Because in India, you did not have pastries as such, like the quality you got over here. And that was my moment where I'm like, okay, I said, I'll come and work. But if I get another job, I'm going to leave. And they're like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. And 4 years, I was there for 4 years. We expanded from 70 to 170. I got a great insight on people's perception of Indian food, which really wasn't good, right? And it really made me start realizing that, listen, if I have the ability and I have the talent to do it, then shame on me for not showing off the beauty of my culture in terms of food. And literally, that's what I did. It was like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to enjoy this and I'm going to take it from there. And I think they were the best 4 years because it gave a direction, it gave a purpose to me, right? And the purpose was beyond me. The purpose was beyond, I'm going to be the best pastry chef. I'm going to make the best cakes. No, the purpose was, I come from a culture, I come from a heritage with such incredible food, right? Shame on me if I don't use the platform and the voice. And I think that was huge.
That was your moment that you established a personal mission.
Yeah.
And also shame on the people who don't realize that Indian food is amazing. And like you said, it's different from region to region.
It is, Sarah, but also keep in mind, I think this is with a lot of ethnic food. Basically, what happened is, like, if you look at the history of ethnic food, be it Chinese, be it Thai, be it Indian, the people who came over here were not educated. So basically, the only thing that they knew was like make food. So they were making food and selling food to sustain their families. And while they were doing that, there really wasn't much passion involved in it. It was business, right? So the cheapest ingredients were used, the quickest cooking techniques were used. So where you've got to saute it for hours, if you're just going ahead and deep frying it, of course, those flavors will be affected. Yeah. And it was being done badly for a very long time. I mean, that's the truth of it. Unfortunately, $8.95 all-you-can-eat buffet, cheap food done badly for a long time. So I'm excited that chefs like me, like my contemporaries, that we're doing it because we love it and we can speak passionately about it and we can cook passionately about it.
Yes. So give us a couple of examples, especially during that time. What were you doing to make this upscale?
It was such an experience, not only from the ambiance of the place, but it was even in terms of plating. It was even in terms of explaining, right? It was even in terms of how you're selling the food, right? How the menu is laid out. There was a time, if you look at the menu, there used to be a book, right? Chicken sagwala, chicken tikka masala, chicken korma, chicken vindaloo, chicken curry. Turn the page, lamb sagwala, lamb tikka masala, lamb korma, lamb, So it was the same thing. They just removed the chicken, put lamb in it, remove the lamb, put paneer in it, remove the paneer, put the shrimp in it, remove the shrimp, put the fish in it, right? And people get intimidated, right? You've got to look at an experience from the viewpoint of a consumer, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is it. I think platings, I think ingredients were very important to me. Like, farmer's market, go and get something fresh and something fun. So that's basically what it was.
It was the start of, like you said, very fresh cooking, telling a story on a plate, not just Here's what you can have. Come get it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you've had a bit of another first after this time period. And let's talk about Vermilion.
So after I worked over there for some time, started looking for opportunities and came to Chicago. The owners of Vermilion were looking for a chef. I was looking for a gig. I did a food trial and they liked what they got. To me, I was hungry for an opportunity and I took that opportunity, and it was 4 years in Chicago and then moved to New York, another 2 to 3 years in New York. And then along the way, Vivek and I got married when I had my daughter, which was now 13 years ago. I know. That was the time where I was like, I need to venture out on my own. And that needed to be beyond a restaurant, right? Food Network had happened, Chopped had happened, people had started recognizing me. I was getting offers to open places around in the world. And in between came this call from Nashville. Would you like to open something in Nashville? And both Vivek and I, we looked at each other. We were like, who the beep goes to Nashville? Apparently we do. We came here and we just fell in love with the opportunity. I mean, it's like exactly what you were saying, right? With your move, you think that you wouldn't like a place, and then you come here and then you just find that you belong. And I think that's what happened to us. I mean, we've been here for 10 years now.
My goodness. And it is kind of crazy. I mean, now we look at Chicago and New York as these huge food cities. I mean, Chicago girls over here, we stole the James Beard Awards from New York, but have both fallen in love with, you would call, like, middle market cities and growing cities, huge growing cities.
And think about it. There's so many people who are moving to the middle market cities, especially after COVID, right? There was like a mass exodus which happened. So the audience is already there. For the lack of a better word, I would say it's easier working over here, but not easy in the sense that the work is easy, right? You still expend the same amount of energy, but the rate of return on the energy that you put in is exponentially higher here than in the larger cities. Like in New York, it was like grocery shopping is a chore. Like you've got to go to the bodega, you've got to get all of the stuff, or you've got to drive. Over here, sit in the car, go get it. Like living is simpler over here. So you can take that effort that you would put into grocery shopping and then just put it towards your creativity and your growth.
Yeah. In the last 6 months being in Columbus, I'm like, what are you talking about? There's a parking lot and I can just park places for free.
And you don't have to parallel park if you don't want to. Just saying.
Agreed. Again, I was in Chicago recently and I was like, I'm going to get towed. I'm going to do something and I'm somehow going to get towed. I'm going to get a parking ticket. So let's talk about 10 years ago. You were opening Chauhan Ale and Masala House. Then came along Mockingbird, Tansuo. Talk to us about opening up downtown Nashville. What were the pros? What were the cons? What were people excited about?
So Chauhan, when we opened, that location was not the most desirable location ever, right? There was nothing around, but there was something about that place and that spot which really spoke to us. And that's what we did. We're like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and open this. It used to be a nightclub attached to, and our restaurant used to be a barbecue restaurant, something of that sort. So we took that, we gutted that. The 6-month project took 2 years. Along the way, we found out we were expecting baby number 2. And we were like, that's fine. We'll open the restaurant in November. We go back to New York where we were living, and baby number 2 was due in March. He had a mind of his own and decided to be born 3 months early in November on the day we opened the restaurant, Chauhan Ale and Masala House. Yeah. That was it. And we were like, if he's so adamant in being a Nashvilleian, who are we to stop him? So we went to New York, wrapped up our place, moved over here. And then we're like, okay, we're here in Nashville. Now we've got to make the best of this move. Chauhan started doing really well. We started looking at what were the culinary holes. And one of the biggest things was a good Asian restaurant, because the best was P.F. Chang's, which I love, but, was looking something on the lines of Tao or Hakkasan. And that's when we opened Tansuo. Beautiful place. And then along came Mikey and Brian. Mikey and Brian from Chicago we used to all be hanging out together in our Chicago days. And Brian had just won Chopped, and they were doing this really cool underground supper club called Your Soy, right? And we are like, you know what? Why don't you move over here and we'll open a restaurant for you? And that's what we did. So they moved over here, and then Mockingbird opened. Then we found a really interesting space in West Nashville where we opened Chattable, which was Indian street food. Of course, Chattable and Tanso never survived COVID. And then last year, or was it year before last? It's just been over a year that we opened Eat by Maneet Chauhan and Disney Springs in Orlando. So that's it. One step in front of the other, you just keep moving.
That's it. Just two babies born on the same day. Your son said, "Yeehaw, we're going." And you kept moving. So was it just a natural progression of, okay, we tried one concept here, let's try something different at the next one? And especially in Nashville, your venues have been very close to each other too. And now
the three concepts right next to each other. And then Chattable was a little bit further. Chattable was more a neighborhood place. So that's why when people started moving out from the neighborhood during COVID, it just wasn't sustainable. To us, I don't think that there is a formula per se as to what we are going to do. I think we see the opportunities and we see if those opportunities work for us.
And how has the food evolved over the last decade?
So much. I still remember when we had moved from New York, we would start feeling hungry around at 9:30 and there was nothing open at 9:30. So it's really interesting. There are chefs, big name chefs who are coming and opening up places over here. In a way, there are kind of a lot of places opening and a lot of places closing. That's the truth of this industry.
Yeah.
But I think it's changed so much. The James Beard nods over here and stuff. It's really exciting to be a part of that culinary scene.
Absolutely. It's grown so much. I think I saw today that Jelly Roll is opening a place.
I'll be surprised. I'm hoping that he's serving some nice jelly rolls on it. That'll be my contribution to the whole thing. But yeah.
Same. I'm like, that would be the marketing tactic that I would take, because I don't know if I could point that man out, but I know he's really popular. So let's shift back from Jelly Roll to Disney. Again, were you approached? Did you approach them? How did that go?
Yes. So they did. They had this space which had opened up, and they did a lot of surveys as to what is the next cuisine that should open up over there. And it was Indian. And then they started doing their legwork as to which was the best Indian chef to approach. And I'm very grateful that they approached me.
Fantastic. And so from the time that they approached you, how long did it take to open Eat?
Good 2 years.
Yeah, it always takes a lot longer than people think, right? And was that design of the space, including the menu? What?
Really? Not really. We were given a space which we adapted to. There was a lot of paperwork, and it's a slow-moving process because you're working with a big corporation. So there are a lot of, I's to dot and T's to cross. And of course, it's Florida, so you've got to make sure all your licenses and permits and stuff. Of course, parallelly, we were working on the menu, the design, all of that was happening. The design of the place was the easiest. It took less than 3 months to transform the place. So, but it was everything else, like, the permits before, after, which took time.
Yeah. It's something that folks don't think about as much. And probably what you learned 10 years ago, which was, what the heck do I need to have in place? How do I serve alcohol? How do I do my food costing? Everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how's it been going?
Great. It's actually very gratifying, to see that in a small way, my goal or what I had set out to do, which was to make Indian food more approachable and friendly for everybody, for middle America, is something that I think I'm getting closer to that goal. Not only being a voice on television where one of the biggest cooking competitions I can win on basis of Indian flavors, but going ahead and taking these flavors and presenting it to an audience sometimes who's never eaten Indian food and them loving it, right? I'm happy. Am I satiated? Am I content? Absolutely not. I don't think I ever will be, because there is so much more that needs to be done, right? It's been a journey already, and I think it's going to be a journey ahead also.
I can't wait to see what you do next. I know it's going to be amazing. With having a venture at a place like Disney, which I don't know if that was on your vision board. Maybe it was. Has it inspired you to think a little bit more out of the box in terms of next ventures, next venues, maybe a little CPG line?
I don't think that there's ever been a box that I've ever thought in. I think that is definitely what the thing is. But Disney, was it on my vision board? I don't think so. Was opening restaurants on my vision board? No, I don't think so. And I am glad, because to me, the thing was, be the best at what you are doing and more opportunities will come your way. So we are reactive to the opportunities that come our way because we strongly believe that those opportunities are meant for us.
Right.
There are some opportunities which don't work out. They weren't meant for us. And that's what it's all about. So to be successful, I mean, even with both the restaurants that we closed between Chatapal and Tanso, as a business, they were successful businesses.
Right.
We had recovered the money. We had paid back the investors. We'd made money on top of it. Right. So if you think about it as businesses, they were successful businesses. Right. But
Yeah.
we had to make a decision as to when to draw the line when they became not successful to loss making and we start putting money in. So those were tough decisions, but they had to be made, right? And that's a part about doing business. So I think that's what it is. I don't know what tomorrow holds. I don't know. Are there opportunities which are on the table? Absolutely. We get calls. We field a lot of calls. We look into a lot of opportunities. Some work, some just don't. But it's good to be in the position where we can make the choice as to what's working and what's not.
And with a couple of those things that haven't worked, I've also been in the position of something's not right. I have to shut it down or I have to walk away. And I definitely went through an emotional process with that. Did you also feel like it was really cut and dry for you? Are you good at keeping those things separate? Or were you like, I can't believe I have to say goodbye to this baby?
I tried to hang on to it for as long as I could. I'm like, no, what about this? What about that? And it is, I mean, I think that's why it really works with Vivek and me, because a lot of people would not come up to me and tell me that this dish sucks. Vivek will, right? And I listen to him. And I think that is it. There are some tough conversations which need to be done. And those were a few of them. And then you go through a grieving process and then you move on. And that's what it is, because these businesses are a reflection of who we are. They're a part of us, right? We put our blood, tears, sweat, very hard-earned money into it. And at times it hurts when people think that, when people think that it's easy, and it's not. It's the exact opposite. It's not easy. It's not easy to give up. It's not easy to shut doors. But you do it. You do it. That's, c'est la vie. That's life.
Yeah. And I think it's still such an inspiration for people to hear that, especially maybe someone who's thinking about trying something new or putting themselves out there, because it is so easy to be, an internet troll or to say, well, I would have cooked that differently. Well, you're not in this kitchen, are you? You don't own this
Well,
kitchen.
you're welcome to. You're welcome.
But maybe we just have different tastes, and that's okay.
That's what it's all about. It's life.
Do you enjoy working with your life partner in business as well?
There are days where I'm sure that we both want to just throttle each other. But more often than not, especially being in an industry as demanding as this, if you work with someone who understands what it takes to be you and to be successful and how to put yourself out there, the understanding and support is really high.
Yeah.
And I think that is something I'm very grateful about.
I'm glad. And plus, you guys have so many shared goals at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is it. All eggs in one basket, and, we can't let that basket or the eggs break.
Lucky man.
So, agreed.
I mean, yes, agreed, because they should recognize. So I always like to say I'm very lucky every day too. And I have a partner who's also in very similar industries that I've been in. It's how we met. And it does make things a lot easier in some ways.
It does.
There have been times where I'm like, I know you've come to that conclusion, but I'm not ready to hear that yet.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Just tell me I'm great. Just tell me you love me.
I love that so much.
I think what I love about your story and what I've loved about your career and just you as a person is you are someone who's not afraid to put yourself out there, and you're a trailblazer in a lot of ways. Is that also a part of your personal mission, or has being a first been something that sometimes can add some pressure?
Oh, absolutely. It adds the pressure to it, because when you go down a path where nobody has traveled by and you don't succeed, then there are people who are, I mean, to me, one of my biggest passions is making sure that young kids, especially young girls, see me and say that if she can do it, so can I. I think that's very important for me. For me, coming up, there weren't many people who looked like me or who did what I was doing. And there isn't a beacon that you can follow. You've got to be that beacon yourself, right? And you make mistakes. You make a lot more mistakes than if there was a kind of a map. So I never set out to be a trailblazer. To me, I'm just doing my job. I'm just putting my head down and doing my job. And if somebody gets inspiration out of it, then, kudos to them, because they are finding the inspiration. It's not that I'm giving the inspiration, right? I'm just doing what I'm doing. But they are finding the inspiration in me, so kudos to them, not to me.
You're being yourself. You're living in your truth, as they like to say.
Yeah.
And you're doing what you love, and people will love you for it. So a bit of a contemplative question here. You're thinking about your son, your daughter, you're thinking about the future of the industry. And frankly, from the time that we even record this to when it's released, we could still continue to see a lot of changes. There's a lot going on in the world right now. And a lot of those policies and the climate are particularly affecting folks in the food and beverage industry on all levels. What are some of the things that I guess you're looking to fight, that you're looking to face those challenges, and that you want to see better for the future here?
I think at this time, our job becomes even more critical. It's like during COVID, right? We in the hospitality industry did think that we were frontline workers, right?
Right.
We probably have been doing, saving lives, but in a way, we strongly believe that we were saving people's emotions, right? Like, we can get a little bit of joy with some food, with what we do, then our day has been spent right. And I think that is the whole thing, is that things are difficult, and things will always be difficult. It's not that it's, it'll just be something slightly different, right? But it will be. And, this always gets me to every time that I drop the kids off to school. I tell them there's never a problem. There's always a solution. Okay. So there are no problems. There are only solutions. And every day when I drop them, I tell them that. And if you approach something with that mindset, you already are ahead of the game. Right. So to me, I think one of the biggest things is just doing the best that we can to provide the best quality, because it's not only about the restaurant or me. We've got whole teams. We've got hundreds of people who are relying on us for a job. And then people who come to the restaurant, they're relying on us to give them something which not only nourishes their body and stomach, but also their soul. So if we can continue doing that, I think that is basically what I really want to do, is just spread that positivity and the hope through food.
Yeah. And the biggest forms of resistance sometimes are love. And there's just so much love in food. There's so much love in your food, too.
Yes.
That way.
There is. To me, whatever the occasion is, you always gather around food.
Yes.
You gather. And that's what it's all about. It's gathering. It's the power in togetherness. And that's, I think, is very, very important. And food is usually the medium to do that.
Yes. Brings everyone to the table. So you are always doing a million and one things. I mean, festivals, events, you're everywhere on Food Network with all your pals over there. You've had cookbooks, continuously opening venues on top of personal life roles. Talk to us about where you get the energy for that, first of all. What coffee are you drinking? As well as, how you're able to juggle that all, and what advice you would give someone who is also looking to do multiple things.
The brand of coffee that I use is called Gratitude. I live with the attitude of gratitude. And I think that's what inspires me. Um, for a kid to have grown up in this really small town in India, to be where I am, to be a ambassador for Indian cuisine, for cuisines in general, for good food on American TV. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot, and that's where I get like really fired and inspired from the attitude of gratitude. I'm very grateful for each and every opportunity that comes my way. I rarely say no to opportunities. At times, I do stretch myself a lot, but I always leave feeling very enriched because each and every interaction, each and every person who comes up to me and says, "Can we take a photograph?" I don't take it for granted. I'm like, "With me? Oh, okay, great, thank you." So to me, it's the attitude of gratitude. And I think that is what constantly fuels me. I'm grateful for where I find myself. I worked hard for it. I never ever underestimate the fact that I have not. But there are so many people who work hard, right? Everybody does not get that opportunity. So I'm very grateful for it. Like in Sobi, somebody sent me a photograph, my photograph on one of those banners. And I'm like, "Can I post this? This is so cool. This is so amazing." So I'm grateful. I'm just grateful. I was feeling really overwhelmed with the number of events that I'm doing at Sobi. And then I'm like, hey, 10 years back, they didn't even invite you. So right now, if they're asking you to do these many events, right, then think of how far you've.
I think that's so inspiring. And it is that thing of like, if you can wake up every day and have a chance at something, then we get to be grateful. I'm sure you do have your days too. You're like, "I am so tired. I am so down. I am in such a bad mood." So I hope you're also giving yourself, maybe that's a question you can answer for everyone. What do you love to do for a little self-care so that you can bounce back and have that sense of balance and get right back into it?
I love binge watching. I love binge watching whatever. Right now, I'm binge watching The Mindy Project and I'm laughing my head off. Saturday mornings are sacred for me when I'm at home because I get up really early. And then my son gets up after that. And then he comes down to the playroom. Both of us, we snuggle in the sofa and then we watch some movie. We have a movie morning, right? Or like there's a new movie which has come out. We've got to go out. So I just believe in living each and every moment to the fullest. So of course I'm tired. Like I was telling you earlier, today was one of the days for the books where it was boom, 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 boom. And then I had my trainer who was coming in today and I could have kind of canceled that. But I'm like, no, I need that. That's for me, right? Vivek and I love watching corny Hindi movies. We do that like, whenever we have downtime or some, Hindi shows or something. There isn't a ritual as such. It's just finding joy in small things.
Yeah. And recognizing that life is full of those giant moments when your face is on a banner, as well as, Saturday morning cuddles. And they're all great.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've had so many amazing accomplishments, recognitions, awards. What would you say you're most proud of, though?
I'm proud of each and every, no matter how small it is or how big the achievement is, because I've worked my ass off for it.
Yes.
Right? So I'm not taking the small accomplishment for granted, or I'm not taking the big accomplishment for granted. Right? I am proud of everything, each and every moment, because it is a series of things that have attributed to that accomplishment. But it's not only my pride. I consider myself as the tip of the iceberg, right? Like I am 10%. The 90%, which is the family, the team, everybody who has worked towards making the world see this 10% are the people who are responsible for those recognitions. So they're all for them.
You really have such an amazing sense of being humble as well. And I think that's what makes you amazing. That's what makes you such a go-getter, because for you, even though you are in the public eye very often, you're more like, okay, let's move to the next thing. That was fun. That was fun today.
And that's what it's all about. It's all about, you cannot hang your hat on the previous laurels,
So last few questions here for you. We're about to get into some of the hardest questions ever. They're the best questions, but they're the hardest. What advice do you have for anyone who's looking to get into the culinary space or perhaps try their own thing, becoming an entrepreneur?
I think the biggest thing is do your homework. You've got to do your homework, right?
Yeah.
Everybody says, follow your passion, jump in the deep end. Do all of that. I'm not saying don't, but I'm saying that when you're jumping in the deep end, make sure you have your floaters on. Okay. Make sure that if you're following your passion, there is more to the passion. Like, do your homework and surround yourself with people who know much more than you do. In a group of people, you should be the person who is least informed.
Yeah.
The people around you should have more information, should have more knowledge than you, because you are a sponge and you learn from all of them, right? That is what you need to do. So always surround yourself with people who you think know more than you, are better at something than you, and you will push yourself to get yourself to their level. And that's how you keep on making yourself better.
Well, I'm sure there are also plenty of folks who look at you that way, that they're looking up to you and they're saying, what can I learn from Maneet today? All right. I have a twofer for you.
Okay.
Just to give everyone a little context here. So one of the reasons that this podcast is called The Perfect Bite is it's a bit of a perfect bite of my career. So entrepreneurship plus food and getting to work with all the amazing folks along the value chain of food. But as I was coming up with this, I also thought everyone lost a perfect bite. There's something to someone that's been a perfect bite in their life, whether it's a family recipe or a special memory from a vacation or the time that you got to go to, say, a Michelin-starred restaurant the first time. That is why I'm about to ask you this question. It is the best and hardest question in the world. What is your perfect bite?
A perfect bite is a combination of rice with a little bit of Vivek's chicken curry and my mom's potato fenugreek masala.
Wow.
That entire bite is not only deliciousness in a bite, it's a bite of a beautiful childhood and a beautiful present, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and your future. And are there times that you get to have that bite when you're all together?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
That's so specific. I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Additional food questions. This is a funnier one. This last summer, you and I were in Oregon at the most beautiful winery at Brooks Wine. I had never been out to wine country in Oregon for an event that we put on for the Trotter Project, which you're a board member of. For folks that don't know, the Trotter Project is an amazing nonprofit built out of the late chef Charlie Trotter's memory. And we help sponsor scholarships for kids looking to go into culinary arts, agricultural sciences, and the hospitality industry. So we were out there celebrating 10 years of the Trotter Project with a bunch of other really fun, amazing chefs. You all had been working so hard. And we get to the end of the evening. And you look at me and you're like, I really want to Uber Eats. I really want some Domino's right now. Listen, we could get you some Domino's, some Little Caesars. And someone in the room was almost like appalled with us. She's like, Sarah, the James Beard nominated chefs, you're offering Little Caesars. And you and I kind of joked. We were like, but life is Little Caesars and caviar.
That's what it's all about.
It's all about having it all. So my follow-up question for what is your perfect bite is, what is your favorite high-end bite? Your James Beard nominated bite, perhaps. And what is also your favorite quick and dirty, having it, after a late day, just can't get enough of it? And
so growing up in India, there was a version of, the top ramen packets you get.
Yeah.
It was called Maggi 2-minute noodle. That is my to-go midnight snack or whatever. That's like if I'm really craving something trashy and like that is what it is. And then you put too much water in it and it becomes rameny and soupy and it's spicy and you're sweating. So that definitely is my, the guilty pleasure, right? In terms of what is my favorite bite, there's so many absolutely incredible things that I've eaten that, that there isn't something specific. Like we were in Italy and there were such incredible pastas and pizzas we were having over there. And the interesting part about like the James Beard Foundation also is that the definition of food has completely changed, right? Like I came over here, everything had to be pristine and precise. Now it's more like, street food and there is like, Caribbean food, like wholesome flavors, rustic, So I am just, as long as it tastes good, I'm a happy camper.
Maneet, this has been amazing. Can you let our listeners know any special projects that you have coming up we should know about? And also, where can they find you? What venues should they be going to? And how can they follow you on social?
Oh, fantastic. So I live in Nashville. We have 2 restaurants over here, Chauhan Ale and Masala House and Mockingbird. You can usually find me there during lunches if I am not traveling. I do travel a lot. There are a lot of festivals that I do throughout the year where I get the opportunity to meet incredible people. I'm going for Sobe tomorrow. There is the New York City Wine and Food. There's Pebble Beach. There's Ojai. There is Puerto Rico Food and Wine. There is so much which is happening. Follow me on socials. I am most active on Instagram. If you send me a message, you probably will get an answer, which is at Maneet Chauhan, but that is throughout social.
Amazing. Maneet, this was so amazing.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. I always love seeing you and talking to you. Thank you for joining us today. And everyone, this was Maneet Chauhan's Perfect Bite.
Thanks for tuning in to The Perfect Bite today. You can listen to future episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Thanks in advance for subscribing, rating, and reviewing. You can follow The Perfect Bite on social media at Perfect Bite Pod. Now go get something good to eat.